Welcome to episode 166 of the Scarlet Faithful podcast. I'm Aaron Breitman, coming to you on Thursday, September 14th. Sorry I missed yesterday. Work happened and it just didn't happen in terms of the podcast, but I think I have two podcasts on Friday coming. I'll definitely have a preview for Rutgers, Virginia Tech, Keys to Victory. David Anderson will be back, which is great news. And then I'm also working on a guest that I think I will be able to have tomorrow, which will, I think, be well received and make people excited. So I won't give too much there. But today, wanted to focus on men's basketball recruiting, as there are two big visits happening this weekend around the football game. I also have some other recruiting news I wanted to talk about. So I previously wrote about two recruits that were set to visit this weekend. I was able to confirm on my own that they're still happening and set to visit this weekend. So the first is they're both two top 100 recruits in the class of 25. They're both wings. Brandon Storrs Jr. is currently ranked number 86 in the 24/7 Sports Composite. And then you also have Jaylen Harrell, number 76. He's from Massachusetts. Storrs Jr. is from the Bronx. He plays for St. Raymond's. Harrell's plays for Harvard up in, Cambridge in Massachusetts. He is teammates with Nigel James, recent target for Rutgers in the class of 25. He's already visited, and they play for Expressions Elite on the AAU level. And Harrell and Storrs Jr., they both have a similar skill set. They're both about 6'4", 6'5", and they just fit the prototype of what Steve Peichel is targeting in terms of guys that can play multiple positions, physical, aggressive, athletic, can shoot, can create their own shot, can defend multiple positions, are willing to do the dirty work. They can rebound well for their size. Positionless basketball, guys that can fit multiple roles, but also, more importantly, fit the style, fit the culture of the program. Both Harrell and Storrs Jr. make a lot of sense. There is Harrell, comes from New England Prep. Assistant TJ Thompson is immersed in that world and is, has done a great job pulling recruits from there. And then you also have Storrs Jr. actually has a connection with Steve Hain, who's the chief of staff for Peichel. His father played for him. So these are two sought-after recruits. Both are being recruited by Providence. In terms of Harrell, it seems like Providence, Georgetown, and Rutgers are kind of really there, target him the most. Alabama's also involved. And then you have Storrs Jr., you have a bunch of Big Ten schools, Maryland. You have some other high majors as well, including Providence. Washington's in on both. So both players are sought after, highly targeted, and Rutgers is getting them both to take visits this weekend for the Virginia Tech football game, which should be a great environment for Rutgers. And, that's the other kind of storyline of football, right, in the fall, is that it's a really crucial recruiting season for basketball after the summer circuit's over, trying to get key visits during the fall before the season starts, but also taking advantage of great tailgating and just great weekends on campus for home football games. So having both Storrs Jr. and Harrell on campus this weekend, certainly big news for Rutgers, both top 100 recruits in the class of 25. And Rutgers is really striking while the iron's hot in terms of the class of 25, building off the class of 24. I've written before, Darius Acuff, they're trying to get on campus. They're trying to get Trey McKinney has already, publicly said he's going to visit on October 13th, which is homecoming weekend, which I'll get to more in a second. Both are Smoke Williamson recruits from the family in Michigan, the AAU program that he used to be a big part of, and also the same program that current 24 commit Dylan Grant, who just committed about a month ago, he is from there as well. So big connections there, trying to get both of those guys to visit. I mentioned October 13th, homecoming weekend. Our friends at the Night Report, Richie Schneiderite and Mike Broadbent, reporting today that Rutgers is indeed looking to have a big weekend recruiting-wise, the class of 24 on homecoming. Current commits Ace Bailey, Lathan Somerville, and Bryce Dortch they're planning to have them visit homecoming weekend, along with trying to and hoping the plan is to have Dylan Harper take his official visit as well. So that would be huge. It sounds like Dylan Grant's not going to visit, but it does sound like he's really solid as well. Like I mentioned, Trey McKinney, who's a top 10 recruit in the class of 25, he's previously said he's going to visit that weekend. I think Darius Acuff is going to visit a different weekend. He's, highly sought after 25 recruit. And who knows? I mean, between this weekend, later in September, but then also homecoming weekend, I'm sure Rutgers has other recruits that will come out at some point, whether there's Harrell that is not. Steve Peichel is working every angle, working every possible recruit that they think can help the program. They're going to try to get to visit. So huge month. Going back to Harper, I know there was a lot of intrigue and concern in terms of reports from Trilly Donovan and talking about Kansas and Auburn being visits for Harper this fall. I did want to go back to something I tweeted not too long ago. Adam Zagoria had tweeted in April that when he talked to Dylan Harper, he said he only took official visits to Indiana and Duke. So he said in April, his plan was in the summer to take official visits to Kansas, Rutgers, and Auburn. He had a crazy summer. He made the national team. He played overseas. He had a full AAU slate. He, did academies with Nike, with Steph Curry, with Under Armour. He played the Rucker Park game. He was slammed. So it makes sense that he just didn't have time to take those official visits in the summer, and now he's going to take them in the fall. So I don't think a lot has changed. I'm sure, the dates, whenever he does visit Auburn and Kansas, sounds like it's going to be in the next month. Rutgers wants to get him last. It sounds like that would be last on homecoming weekend. So, listen, Dylan Harper, I know fans are, clamoring for the news or whatever his announcement may be, thinking it's going to be Rutgers. He needs to take whatever time he needs to take. His family, obviously, well-versed in this process. They'll take whatever time they want to take. And Rutgers fans just have to be patient. And whatever is best for Dylan Harper at the end of the day is going to be what he should do. And hopefully he decides that that's Rutgers. And there's no other factor to that. That's what's going to happen. So keep the faith there. But in terms of the 24 class, I mean, obviously getting Bailey back on campus, Rutgers recently visited Ace Bailey. They're all over him to make sure that he signs. That of course they want to try to get the whole class to sign in November in the early signing period. So real momentum for Rutgers men's basketball on the recruiting trail. 24 class, 25 class. Big news for this weekend in confirming both Jaylen Harrell, originally reported by 24/7 Hoops that he was set to visit, was able to confirm he is in fact visiting. And then you have Brandon Storrs Jr., which Andrew Slater initially reported, and I was able to confirm he is in fact still visiting this weekend. So both of them, I'm sure there's some others as well that will come out. And then the homecoming weekend. So huge month ahead for Rutgers men's basketball on the recruiting trail as the preseason starts in October. And then you have men football, obviously, chance to go 3-0 this weekend. I have had a ton of coverage, a couple podcasts this week, also plenty of articles, more to come out on the ScarletFaithful.com. I'm going to have that preview podcast tomorrow, Friday. But if they can win on Saturday, you go into October with 4 wins, which means that weekend, the homecoming weekend against Michigan State, at worst, you'll be 4-2 with a chance to clinch a bowl game before Halloween. That would be as wild a homecoming environment as Rutgers has had in a long time. It would be an awesome environment for all those elite recruits with basketball visiting. So hopefully everything can align and it can all happen. And that's also, I mean, with athletic departments and high major schools, Power 5 schools, when everything can kind of line up together, right? And the 2 high major sports can click at the same time, it just benefits everybody. It benefits the other sports, and it just creates a buzz around campus, nationally, perception-wise, in social media, in the news. Rutgers has a real momentum overall here, I think, early on in the fall. Hopefully they can capitalize on it. Hopefully, obviously, men's basketball can have a tremendous season. I was a guest of Joe Jackson, who a podcast will be coming out on Monday. I'll share that. But we had a lot of talk about the season. I'm really excited for this team. And I think that the momentum they have on the recruiting trail right now is the level of recruit that Steve Peichel has elevated from the beginning of his tenure. They still fit the culture, they still fit his style, but the talent level is so much higher. Where Rutgers sits today and the position they're in terms of who they're talking to and the recruits that they have potential to close on, just think about where they potentially could be next year, the year after that, 3 years. The trajectory of the program, Peichel is building it steadily, very similar fashion to Pitt, Villanova, UConn, all Northeast schools. Steve Peichel knows Northeast basketball. There's a lot of positive momentum here. Harrell and Storrs Jr. to visit this weekend. Homecoming weekend, class of 24, all the current commits, number 2 class in the country, by the way. Hopeful to have Dylan Harper join them. Obviously, it'll be a huge, huge weekend for the program. If also Trey McKinney visits, you have Darius Acuff out there. You have a lot of big names. We even talked about Darius Adams, top 25 recruit from New Jersey, currently playing prep in Indiana. His sister Destiny plays for women's basketball. He's a top priority. So there's a lot of Malik Thomas, top shooting guard at 25. They're trying to get him to visit. It's pretty crazy in terms of the level of recruiting that men's basketball is at right now. Football trying to continue that good mojo, and we'll see what happens. Quick update: men's soccer beat Columbia, finished non-conference schedule 2-3-1. They start Big Ten play next week. Women's volleyball beat Marist, the home opener. They're now 8-1. They host Princeton on Friday, then start Big Ten play. Field hockey 6-0, number 10 nationally. Opens up with Penn State on Friday. Hopefully they can keep the good times rolling. Women's soccer now 4-2-2. They open Big Ten play on Sunday against Indiana, who's undefeated. So we're starting to get to the good stuff. It's starting to get fun. It's starting to get interesting. Lot to talk about. Thank you for listening and watching this episode once again, and I will be back on Friday. Check out all my content on thescarletfaithful.com, and I will talk to you tomorrow.